I had it running about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes. I'm gonna give it a couple chokes. So like we always say, 3 prime kicks, and it should be 1 to go. So guys, if you haven't heard, Saturday coming up, we're getting ready to run the 20 of the ultra rare bikes in here. As you guys know, everything in here fires up and goes. We're taking down a few, well, several bikes that we haven't run in forever. Just a little preview for you guys. We're running the Elk motorcycle right here, one of a kind bike. The Traub motorcycle, you guys have undoubtedly heard of this bike, world's rarest motorcycle, or at least that's what Mr. Google says. Now on the hill, rare, 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 and you guys will hear me say that word a million times here. Factory built specials, one of a kind bikes, national champions, Indians, Harleys, Excelsiors. We're gonna be running the DAH Harley, this one here. They made 20 of these bikes, guys, 20, that's it. Ultra rare stuff. Every part on it's a special factory part. You're not gonna wanna miss that one running. We're gonna make some smoke, make some dust. Yeah, got the one-off Harley Hill Climber over here we're gonna run. We probably got some bonus bikes that we'll fire up just while we're at it. Kickstart challenge, guys. All this is for our 20th anniversary and our big fundraiser here at the museum. We're working on raising the funds for a fire suppression system. So the cost is about $300,000. We're off to a great start. We've been, I think we're a week in right now, and we've raised close to $30,000 thanks to all you guys' help. It's gonna take a ton more to get this job done, but we've got the best visitors in the world. We can't thank you guys for everything you're doing. If you can contribute, please do. Every little bit helps, even if it's just a little bit. Kickstart challenge, guys. We're gonna be firing bikes all day on Saturday. This one here I wanna tell you about right now. This is one of my favorites in the building because I ride it all the time. This is my 39 Knucklehead, 1939 Harley Davidson EL 61 cubic inch Knucklehead. 4-speed transmission, overhead valve, dry sump circulating oil system. I'm really close with this bike, and part of the reason is because I put so many miles on it. This bike started out as an engine. I found the engine in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it was just kind of a lucky find. I guess it kind of found me. We were sitting in the back of the museum here, and a fellow with the name Dale, his name is Dale LaFerge. Hey Dale, if you're watching. Easy to remember, I never forget a Dale. This is my dad's name too. But Dale came up to me. We had never met before. He says, hey, I got a couple old Harley Knuckleheads. I'm a Triumph guy. This place is incredible. Would you be interested in buying my Knuckleheads and adding them to the collection? So he had a 47 basket case, which is here in the background. I haven't restored it yet. And then he had a 39 Knucklehead motor. Didn't have any of the rest of the bike, just the 39 motor. So over time, I was able to get up with Dale, pick the motor up, brought it back down here to the museum. It's like a completely virgin 39 motor, guys. And anything pre-World War II is exactly what we're into around here, especially that post-1920s era. As soon as the Depression hits, everything crunches. So you go for a time when they're making 25,000 motorcycles, 28,000 motorcycles in the 1920s, 1926, 1927. I mean, 27,000 Harleys. That's just Harley. And then the Depression hits and everything crunches. By 1933, they're only making 3,500 bikes. Okay, so everything got really tight. Nobody had any money to spend on motorcycles. All the while, Harley debuts the Knucklehead in 36, which is like, they're looking at it like the future of the company, and at the time, it's the toughest time to debut a new model, because again, nobody had any money. Depression, people think Depression, and they think 1929. It lasted really all the way through into World War II. You're talking is the onset of war production that really got the American economy back on track. So those 36 Knuckleheads, 37s, 38s, 39s, ultra rare stuff today. They didn't make a lot of them. I think in 39 they might have made 3,000 Knuckleheads maybe. This one by VIN number, it's $26.99. got it on the top of my head. 39 EL 2699. So that makes it the 1699th produced. Yeah, so started out with this Virgin motor from Dale, and I got it back here, and I'm looking it over, and it's like, man, I don't know what to do with it. I can restore it. And I ended up looking around, and I had all the parts to build this bike into like an original finished sort of motorcycle. So that's what I wanted to do. Wanted to make the bike look like it'd never been apart. I'm not trying to fool anybody or fake anything. You know, I tell everybody I built it out of parts. It's just one of those passion projects that as soon as I realized I had about 85% of everything to build it, went right to work rebuilding the motor. A little bit of hop-up stuff in there, so it runs a little bit better than a normal Knucklehead would. I want to keep most of that secret. Maybe I'll tell you guys about it one day. Yeah, 4-speed transmission, 18-inch wheels, standard Harley Springer front end, 1 year only front end, 1 year only 38 Knucklehead frame, ultra rare 36-9 gas tanks. The gas tanks are like, oh, they're so rare. Yeah, the 39 Speedo, and like the cool thing about a lot of our bikes, especially the stuff that we at the museum ride, is they've all got a little bit of character. This is not a bone stock bike, you know, and to me, when I build a motorcycle, there's so many different ways to look at old bikes, and no one way is better than the other. So there are the ways, there are guys that like their stuff perfectly restored, 100 point off the assembly line motorcycles. Awesome stuff. It takes a huge amount of work to do that and a huge amount of skill to do that. Probably more skill than I have to do. And then there are guys that like them dirty and grimy. There are guys that like to put them together and make them functionally perfect and still have a lot of original finish. And that's what this was all about. My dad always said there was 3 types of antique motorcycle people. He said there's your put-her-togetherers, your take-it-aparters, and your leave-it-aloners. And you can be a couple of those. Some people are even all 3 of those. But inevitably you fall into one of those categories. So this one here was that kind of mix between a put it together and a leave it aloner. So we wanted to keep this thing really true to form, all the right 39 parts at its core, but it's stacked with cool accessories. Flanders style, Helling style risers. Actually, my friend Jeff Layton made me this. Jeff's a custom bike builder out of Utah, and this is a top clamp with the Flanders sort of top clamps there, but normally a Flanders assembly has a top tree and these risers like clamp to this top tree. This is a whole tree and riser setup all made into one. This thing was like super triple chrome when I got it, so we patinaed it down to match the rest of the bike. Original Cycle Ray Harley headlight, ultra rare spotlights, cool little bullet lights in there, neat horn face, all the 39 trim. This is aftermarket, period 1930s, early 40s accessory. Yeah, cool horn face. This is one of the neatest pieces on this bike, guys. It's a PA lock, okay? And the PA lock was actually, there's a guy named Paul Bigsby. Paul was one of the instrumental minds behind the development of the Crocker motorcycle. Paul developed parts also, and one of the things that he developed was the fork lock. So really cool part. There's a rod that goes through here and locks your spokes so you can't roll the bike off. At some point he sold the fork lock to Flanders, same company that made handlebars and risers. When I got this came out of Texas, Abilene, Texas. There was a parts pile down there called Kent's Harley Davidson. Kent's is still in business. Kent had been collecting old parts all the way back to the 50s, 60s. My dad had been picking Kent's place for 35 years. So he'd been in there a lot, gotten some great parts over the years. Well, in 2017, late 17 and early 18, we purchased all of the old bike inventory from Kent's, and this is like a 10,000 square foot building full of motorcycle parts. You guys have probably heard us talk about this pile a little bit. Once in a lifetime, epic antique pile of parts. This was in the pile in the original box. Like, I'd never seen one in the box, didn't know it was made by the Flanders company. had to go on this bike. So it all was just came together perfect. Super cool luggage rack. I've got mud flaps, and then really cool Chattanooga twin stacks, or Stories twin stacks. These were made out of Chattanooga. Thing makes absolute great sound. We actually did a Motor Monday on this bike. And then you guys, for you guys that have tuned into a lot of our YouTube stuff, you know about the Rhino bags. This is one of the Rhino grain seats. This is actually newly covered by Heather's Leathers in South Carolina. Wayne does a great job recovering the seats. Beautiful 1939 only. It's got that Rhino grain to it. Now, Wayne told me the machine they use to get this the way that it is the very same machine that Harley Davidson used all the way back then. So it's been in the same family all these years. Awesome seat. Comfortable seat. You wouldn't think it by looking at these, but you get on this thing and it actually hops up and down real nice. The Harley Solo seat might be one of the best and most comfortable seats anywhere, period. So we're gonna fire this thing up so you guys can hear it. It's one of my favorite knuckleheads in the building, 1939 EL. I had it running about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes. I'm gonna give it a couple chokes. So like we always say, 3 prime kicks, and it should be 1 to go. Up and you can hear the motor. No gear noise, no push rod noise. You can hardly even hear it going round and round and up and down, guys. The thing runs excellent. Mechanical perfection. Probably have about 12 or 14,000 miles on that bike since I finished it. So I ride it often. Absolute ton of fun. We don't go anywhere slow. One of the best parts about the riding an old bike is usually folks always ask me when I go riding with guys on their new bikes, they say, hey, do you want us to wait for you? And we usually end up find out who's waiting at the end of the road. And it's usually not that bike. That one goes really good. So yeah, 39 Knucklehead, guys. Again, Kickstart Challenge, big fundraiser here for a fire suppression system here at the museum. Join in if you can. Help the museum however you can. It's you guys that make it all happen. Thanks for tuning in. We got a ton more great content. Make sure you tune in on Saturday. We got our big 20 bike startup. Again, 20 of the rarest and most significant motorcycles here in the museum. We're firing them up all in a row, sharing the history. It's going to be like a in-depth personal VIP walkthrough of this place, at least an abbreviated one. You know, if you came in and you wanted to hear everything, I'd have you here for a month. There's a lot in here, guys. But we're gonna do 20 of the rarest and most significant on Saturday, 1 o'clock, live on YouTube, guys. Make sure you tune in. Kickstart Challenge, again, wheelsthroughTime.com/Kickstart Challenge. Anything you guys can help us out with is greatly appreciated. Thanks for making it happen.
You know, you hate to say it, but you've got a complete treasure here that is unreplaceable. So you need it.
Yeah.
It needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
It's not one of those things we have to want to do, but it's one of those things we need to do.
That's right.
and it costs money.
You don't want to say, well, I wished I'd have done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to say that.